Hey guys, just doing a quick video for you, just as a reminder of how we make bowls. Alright, so what I do is I sort of wet down my bat, not too much, so this is pretty much just damp, because if it's too wet, then once you slap this down and get going on it, it's going to slide right off. So remember, if it gets to the middle, push it to the middle if you're a little bit off, and really try to secure it to the bat head. And then water's your friend, so make sure your hands are nice and wet. And I'm just gonna go through the steps here. You're coning up. Coning up, notice where it is on my hands. The meatier part of my hands. I'm pushing it at the bottom. You don't need to use your fingers. I have my hands around it like this. Look, it's really off. But I'm pushing in with this part and this part at the bottom, and then slowly moving up to get that cone. And yeah, it's still pretty wonky down there, but up here, that's pretty centered. So now we're gonna cone down. Your left arm, elbow goes into your hip. Put your hand over the top and push down. Keeping this hand braced and straight up and down. You don't want it to go flat like this. Keep it up and down like this. What we're doing is we're acting as a machine, essentially. So you could really just push into it like this to sort of even it out a little bit. But now you add the pressure from this side, where you're gonna push down into your left hand. I actually use a fist half the time. So you're gonna see how this sort of mushrooms down a little bit. I'm gonna cone up a smidge on this. I'm using porcelain today, which is just not an easy clay sometimes. You're gonna notice the parties right down here. Yep. It's kind of the hardest part when you're starting to throw, is to get rid of that. So sometimes I just smooth it out a bit. All right, and then I'm gonna push down. I only have a pound of clay right now. So when I just sort of keep this here, and then I'll just take this part of my hand, it's nice and flat. And notice my two hands are still touching. I just really try to sit like this for a bit. Keep getting your hands wet. Smooth that sucker out. Oh, she's beautiful. All right, next stage of the game. Water's still your friend. Get your hands down on the bat so they're touching it. Find the center and start pushing in with your thumbs. It's probably gonna get a little bit of friction there, just to add some water. All right, get to that point where you gotta check it, and make sure you check it every time with your needle tool. So, remember this process? Push it down. You're gonna really hold on to this, but take your finger, bring it down to where the clay is, then pull it out. And that's about where we want it to be. So like 1/4 of an inch. All right, so now we're gonna take this, we're gonna widen this hole. So we're just gonna be doing this with our hand, with our thumbs. And you're really pushing straight out. You don't want to be pulling up like, well, you want to push straight out and then come up a little bit on the sides. Water still is your buddy. You want to make sure that when you're pushing your walls out, you're not really going past where the base is. Then it will collapse on itself. This is when I go in and I smooth out the bottom. Smooth it with your fingers Or you can take one of your sponges and just sort of smooth out that bottom. We're compressing the bottom so that all of the molecules are going in the same direction. And that will help from potential S cracks in the bottom as your piece dries. All right, so now it's like this. We want to hug this sucker in or choke it, whatever it is you're feeling like, but it's really called collaring in. So now we want it to look more like a volcano before we start pulling up. All right, so we got a little volcano. Water still is our friend. All right, so this is the tricky part, pulling up our sides. Remember the C? Always your left hand. If you're left-handed, if you're right-handed, your right hand goes in the middle. No, I said that wrong. It's always your left hand unless you're right-handed. No, I did say that right. Whatever. Anyway, for most of you, you put 2 fingers in, or whichever 2 fingers, it doesn't matter, and put your thumb on the side, and your arm is still touching your leg. Your fingers are touching, like your hands are touching each other. Make sure you've got a lot of water so it's slippery. And you're going to push in with the right hand to create the bulge of clay that you're moving up the side. Now, if you push in too much at the bottom, you're probably going to pull the whole top off. So just ease into it. You don't have to go too crazy. We're only going to do this 3 times. The second time, our hands are still in the same position. You're going to push out from the inside to create that bulge. And see, that's clay. Then I'm moving right up the side of that wall to get it to get taller. All right. This third time, we're going to push with we're going to start shaping. And this room, we're going to aim for it to end up out here a little bit. So push. As you're starting to bring that clay up, you're going to bring it out. All right. All right, we are done pulling up our sides. Hopefully, when you go in and check it, hopefully the width of the thickness of your wall down here is the same as the thickness up here. It's probably not to begin with. Don't worry about it. The more you practice, the better it'll get. So now I'm going in and I'm taking the water out of the inside of my bowl, but I'm also compressing the bottom as I do that, sort of smoothing it out. All right. Now we're going to slow down our wheel a little bit. All right. Now our hand, it's fine if our fingertips are wet at this stage, but no more water, because the more water you add to this, you're going to weaken the walls and it'll just collapse, and you don't want it to do that. So it's going to be kind of weird. It feels weird because you now have to come to terms with the friction. So now your fingers you want to have the inside hand and the outside hand exactly at the same height the whole way. So when you're pushing out, this is your right hand, or your outside hand is preventing it from going too far. So you just little movements. So, see, I'm starting. Notice my thumbs are touching. If you have a taller piece and you can't bring your thumb all the way to the bottom, it's fine. Cross your hands like this and do the same thing. All right, so and you can just really refine it at this point. But go for that rounded side so there's a nice even curve. Some of this down here, this is the clay we're going to be cutting away in a minute. So at this point, we're just shaping. We're not trying to pull any more clay up. Go in. I usually try to hold my right hand on my left just to steady it when I'm going in. Just because I've ruined the tops, the rims of my bowls a million times by not. Just smooth out that inside. Remember our chamois? I left you a couple, I think. This is the way we hold it. Over the rim, make sure it's nice and wet. Over the rim, and you're just gonna squeeze a little bit on the top just to round that rim out, make it nice and smooth. Do that on all your pieces. And then you're gonna take your wooden knife, and you're gonna hold it like a pencil. You do not wanna hold it like this or like this. You wanna hold it so that the narrowest part is coming in. And then I always steady my hands. And look at that. I'm just going to go right down and straight on the diagonal there. So you hear that where it hits the bat. Then you're going to take your needle tool and you're going to go right in. You're just trying to separate that outside piece from the bat. You're going to stop your wheel. You're going to cut this piece and ooh la la. That's pretty awesome. God, I love that. All right. Before you cut it off of the bat, you can smooth it a little bit if you want. You don't have to. But for cutting it off the bat, take your wire tool, wrap it around your fingers, thumbs straight down, pull it towards you. Then you can make sure your hands are nice and dry, your fingers. And then you basically just turn it to pick it up. If for whatever reason it doesn't come loose easily, here's another trick. Take some water, put it right on the bat, and then you're gonna take your wire tool again, do the same thing, but you see it brings a little bit of water through, and it'll probably slide to the edge, where if you have a lot of water on it, then you can just slide it to the edge of your bat and pick it up this way. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. But keep shooting them at me and I'll keep sending you videos. All right, take care, guys.